Hey guys, this is Coach KP. Today, fall in New England. It's not quite deep fall yet, but still fall, and it's about transformation and change. And today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that's very important yet not talked about a lot in our daily lives. The topic is loneliness and how to handle it. Okay, so a lot of times what happens is we are not allowed to feel lonely. Okay, so there's a stigma attached to being lonely or expressing the feelings of loneliness. A lot of people fear being needy, and it happens to the best of us, right? Because of the way we have constructed our society, it's so much better or easier to be accepted if you're seen as somebody fun, and there's all kinds of things that's going on for you at any given period of time. If you're traveling and you're posting pictures on Instagram, you have tons of people surrounding you. That's kind of more of a valid situation socially than saying some things like, hey, I feel lonely, or reaching out to people because of that reason, right? So what happens is, because it's such a taboo almost to feel loneliness, we tend to have all these various different things. For example, binge watching Netflix, or eating too much or eating too little, or drinking too much alcohol, or indulging in something that's not necessarily conducive to growth, or is actually going to do anything to relieve that feeling of loneliness, right? So a couple of things I want to make sure I address is that it's okay, and we should be allowed, and it's really very okay to feel lonely. All right, so let's let that sink in. It's okay to feel lonely. Loneliness is a valid feeling, just like every other feeling that you feel. You should not feel bad about feeling lonely. Having said that, what happens is, once you start to observe yourself, and to each person, these feelings, these outcome of loneliness may be different, but for me and many of my friends, we notice that this feeling of loneliness results in kind of an anxiety. Your upper chakras seem to be firing, your mind starts thinking too much, going in spirals, and it starts to spiral out of control. That could be a very first and prominent sign that there's something going on that's off. And when we start to feel lonely, it's very easy to go back to our numbing patterns, as I said before. When we start to feel feelings that are making us desperate, okay, by desperate, what I mean is when we start to seek things that will instantly gratify us at that moment to avoid the feeling of feeling lonely, we really need to sit there and understand how deep that desire to connect with others is. Because loneliness ultimately is a desire to connect with other people, and a lot of us are feeling lonely in this day and age at this point in time, because we've been our communication is so virtual. That's one of the reasons we are feeling lonely to an extent that's really unbearable to a lot of us. And we are doing things to numb these feelings, thinking that the feeling is going to go away, but the loneliness, the feeling of void is not going anywhere, because we are using these numbing patterns. It's only getting worse, and it's actually working against our well-being. So when we start to feel lonely, it's very important to change our perspective. So let's say if you're home and you start to feel lonely, what we should then do is shift our consciousness and maybe go outside for a walk. Maybe take your bike for a ride. One of the reasons I'm here today is, when I was home, I felt that my thoughts were spiraling out of control, and I was feeling this loneliness, even though I had family visit me a couple days ago, and we had a great time. But we have really no control over our feelings, and we should really be okay with feeling lonely, even when we had a full day, full weekend with friends and family. Right? So this is what I experienced today. I talked to my friend Amy, and I'm here changing my state because it's very important for us to get out of feeling this desperate emotion and be able to get close to nature, because nature, it has its healing properties. It grounds you. When we feel that our thoughts are spiraling out of control, it's very important for us to change our physical state. Do something that brings us physical grounding. It could be working out, it could be going for a walk, it could be calling a friend even, just to change the state so that you are not deep in that spiral. And again, these practices are different than numbing practices because you are actually allowing yourself to feel those feelings first. You sit there, you feel those feelings for 5, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it takes. You write it down in a journal exactly how you're feeling, and once that's done, once you're past that 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours tops, right? Then you change your state, because otherwise that's gonna continue your numbing patterns, and that's gonna take you in a spiral that you don't want to go into. Okay, so it's okay to feel those feelings, but at some point you have to get out and change the state. Otherwise you go into a depressed state of mind, right? So depression also could be a numbing pattern, like staying home and just closing the door. It's not healthy, right? Ultimately, we all know what that does to us. So when we're feeling lonely, it's very important to first acknowledge it. Second, feel the feelings, feel the loneliness, understand how deep it goes, right? And then you change the state. And you change the state to something conducive to you feeling better versus you feeling worse, such as maybe overeating or whatever that is, the addictive patterns that we have. And we all know what those addictive patterns are for us, right? If we have even an iota of self-awareness, you will know what it means to numb yourself. A lot of us have these go-to habits to release tension and anxiety. Okay, and we'll talk about that more in other videos, but here I am today in nature, changing my state, and maybe you should do that too. All right, this is Coach KP. Peace.